Well, it's different to perform here. When I got here to Fairfield, there's not a hotel. They drove me up to a house, and I was like, why am I staying in somebody's house? But it's a bed and breakfast. It's really nice, but I would only do that in Southeast Iowa, stay in somebody's house basically. But they're a very nice couple. There's a lot of, I see a lot of friends, and so it's special. And my family's coming up here with 70 people, and so I get the opportunity to do a lot of catching up with folks in a very short period of time. And it means a little more. I was at New Orleans last week, and that's a fun town. I have connections there for various reasons, but coming back home, I mean, there's nothing like it. Well, when I started in 1982 at the University of Iowa, had a chance to go up to open mic night at the Student Union, and you could tell jokes or read a poem or sing a song. And I brought all my buddies from Ottumwa, and we all had something to drink, and we went there, and I told jokes, and I read here or there, and I thought I was amazing. It seemed awesome. I look at that now and say, that was terrible, but that was very exciting. And so it was the first time, and the first time I was on television was very exciting. I did a Showtime special, and that was, the first time you do a lot of stuff. My first scene in a movie was with Dustin Hoffman in a movie called Hero in 22 years ago, I think. And, to be sitting there with somebody you knew about growing up in Iowa, and they're this great actor, and you're in these scenes with them, was very impressive. And many of times I've thought, as I do things in Hollywood, I'm going to wake up, and it's going to be 5 a.m., and I have to go back to Hormel. Because I used to have crazy dreams when I worked there. I worked there 3 years, and then I'd wake up, and I was like, oh, I got to get on my bicycle and drive, pedal down the hill to that plant. And but so I expect to wake up from this. But it's been a nice 30 years. Well, I grew up, when I was young, my mom left, and when you're a little kid and you just have a dad, and kids are mean, and they're mean for whatever reason. The older kids, and so every day on the way to school, you get all this guff about, where's your mom? What's wrong? Whatever. And eventually, you want to connect, even with those guys. You want to connect somehow. And I remember being in school and saying something inappropriate and those guys laughing, and everybody kind of laughing. And I thought, oh, that's the thing. Maybe if I could be funny, then these people would laugh. And then growing up more, I said, well, if I could just get on TV, then the people in Ottumwa would like me, which turns out not to be true. But that was my thing. If I could just do this once, because I remember my dad, he loved Bob Hope when I was young. And if there was a Bob Hope special, no matter how bad things were going in my dad's life, he was downstairs, and I could hear him upstairs laughing really hard. And I said, I want to do that. And so the first time I got to do a Bob Hope special, probably over 20 years ago, I remember thinking, oh, this is as big as it gets, because this is the guy that made my dad laugh when things weren't all that funny. And so, there's been a lot of moments like that. But the fact that I'm from Ottumwa, Iowa, I think makes me unique. I have connections to a lot of other people in my business from Iowa, and at the Super Bowl last week, we played in a celebrity beach flag football game, and Sean Johnson, the little gymnast who's from Des Moines, I think, and Lolo Jones, who's a sprinter from Iowa. There's that Iowa bond we have, and I have that with Ashton, and I have it with there's a few people, but I don't know anybody from Ottumwa, Iowa out there. I'll tell you, the thing, I had a teacher in junior high, Washington Junior High, named Jane Garr. Her name was then Jane Thompson. She was our, acting teacher, our drama teacher. And I remember I didn't have any chops. It wasn't something I dreamed about, but she said, why don't you try this play? Why don't you try? And she believed in me. This one teacher, she believed I could be really good. And nobody in my world believed in me like that. But I took that, and I think I've always carried that, because if you can get one person to believe in you like she did, and she actually made me pretty good, and I won some competitions and some awards, and just gave me self-esteem in that way, because up to that point I just wanted to play sports. But then I thought, well, there's this other thing. I also had my first kiss in a play. I think it was Anne of a Thousand Days, or it's one of those things that there was a kissing scene, and I'd never kissed a girl. And the other, her name was Kathy Swallow, and she was really a good actor, and she apparently had kissed people before. But it was, you know, those big moments that you have. And earlier in life, the Ottumwa community players, my grandma Dottie was big in the community players, and she encouraged us to be involved. And the picture on my iPad is of me. I must be 5 years old, and it was the king and I played one of the kids. And there was a lady in town who played Anna, the teacher, and she was such a beautiful lady. And I remember we had to play, it was a few days, and then on the last day, after it was all over, I had my little program, and I asked the beautiful lady if she would sign it, and as she did, she kissed me on top of the head, and I said, if that's what you get from acting, then I'm in, because that was wonderful. And so, you know, there's these little moments growing up, and doing that stuff at school. I say to the kids, do whatever you can while you're here. You know, learn as much of the craft as you can, read as much, study other people, study things, you know, and then when you get your real opportunity, then you're ready and you don't screw that up. I honestly think comedy, television comedy, is going back to the live 4-camera shows like Roseanne and those type of shows. I sense that watching the pilots that are being picked up this year. I see shows that have been single camera shows. For a long time, from the mid-90s on, people started going to single camera shows and that kind of, you know, where there's no audience. But I sense that people want that back, you know, and the shows really that do the best are the multi-camera shows now, the Big Bang Theory and those 2.5 Men. You know, so whatever works, people will always go back to, and there'll always be a place for the multi-camera shows in front of a live audience, the way the Desi and Lucy did it, the way the Honeymooners did it, you know, the real way it's supposed to be done.
Perfect.